It's Game 7 Saturday. We have a Game 7 on our hands. Thunder, Spurs. Let's get into it. This is episode 2 of The Rough Cut. I again am Matt Ruff, and today we'll be going over Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals between the Spurs and the Thunder. We'll be going over the Stanley Cup Finals as Carolina finishes off the Canadiens in a gentleman's sweep. And they'll be facing the Knights, who came off a sweep in their own rights out of the West. We'll be getting into movies I saw this week, a couple horror films and a war movie, and some other things that we might as well talk about. Let's get into it. All right, tonight, Game 7, Spurs, Thunder. I don't know which way this one goes. If I'm gonna be real, I think I'm picking the Spurs, and this is why. The Thunder have the experience. The Thunder probably should win. And honestly, probably will win. But Wemby is on the other side, and we've never seen Wemby in a Game 7. We've never seen Wemby in a Game 7. We've seen him in a one-game elimination in the gold medal game in France as a younger child going against an elite superhero team. We've never seen him in a NBA stakes situation, Game 7, NBA Finals on the line to go play an MSG against the Knicks, who are coming off a rest, and they're going to be playing whoever comes out of this series, which has been an absolute dogfight, and they've just been beating each other up. Knicks are getting their rest, but I just can't pick against the Spurs team, and I probably should. And they're playing in OKC, and the Thunder have the experience. This is where usually everyone keeps saying the Spurs don't have the experience that the Thunder do have, and then eventually it'll catch up. Like, you have to pay your dues before you make it to the finals. Is this the dues that the Thunder are going to make the Spurs pay, or are the Spurs just going to skip all that and say, we have a generational player, so we're going to do things a little differently around here? That might be possible as well. And as a fan, I hope that does happen. I don't hate the Thunder. I like Shea, but they're not the most fun team to watch. And the Spurs with their young core is just way more fun, in my opinion. Harper, Castle, Vassell, Wemby. I mean, that is a fun team to watch, and they all give a shit, and it shows. I have some things. So Shea's been in, I think this is his fourth Game 7 in the playoffs. Remember, they had that run for a while where everyone, this is Ren, by the way. She's, I guess, the Rough Cuts mascot. No pun intended, but she's a rough herself. So everyone say hi to Ren. Shea has had 3 Game 7. So there was that 2020 year in the bubble. Houston, he was a young player on the team. They weren't even supposed to be in the playoffs. Chris Paul kind of drug him there. He had 19, 4, and 3 and shot 54% from the field in that game. It was a close game. They lost by a couple points. Throwing things around over here. This is all new. Remember, this is all a work in progress. Then he had 2 last year. So they went 2020. Then they had that rebuild where Presti kind of tanked and they just got a bunch of picks. So they didn't make the playoffs for a couple years. But 2025, they played Denver. He shot 63% from the field, had 35 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds. Solid Game 7, especially against a Nuggets team like that. And then in the NBA Finals, Game 7, which, not that there's an asterisk next to it, but who knows what happens if Tyrese doesn't go down in that series. He had 29, 12, and 5, but he only shot 29% from the field in that game. The Thunder are just that deep of a team that, they could pull it out without him going crazy. And Shea has not been very good in this series. Wemby has had a couple games where he hasn't been fully there, and we'll see how engaged he is early on. I think that's the big tell in every game really so far is, does Wemby come out and establish himself? Does he establish himself in the paint? Does he settle for threes? Is he hitting his threes? These are all very important questions on how this game is going to play out. Will the role players for the Thunder hit their threes? And that is the main reason I think the Thunder could win. I'm still not going to pick them. I'm sticking with my Spurs pick. I think it's going to be like a 104-102 type of game maybe 104, 100. I think they'll win by less than 5. It's going to be a dogfight, but you think in that situation, it's where the home team, the veteran team, will come through. But this Spurs team, I don't know. There's just something about them. I think Wemby's going to put on a show tonight. I think the Thunder are going to try to throw everything at him to not let him put on a show. But eventually greatness shines through, and we'll see what he can do. But if he comes out and starts missing threes or isn't establishing himself in the paint, that has not boded well for the Spurs in this series. We'll see, again, how that plays out. It should be an exciting matchup. I mean, Game 7s are always very fun. Either way, I think this season is a win for the Spurs. For the Thunder, it's kind of crazy. I mean, Shea said it himself, this is probably the biggest game of his career, and he played in Game 7 of the NBA Finals last year. Damn, Ryan, you good? And he said himself, this is one of the biggest moments of his career because of what the Spurs can be. If the Spurs go to the finals this year and already knock the Thunder out, even with their injuries, even with all that, if they get knocked out by the Spurs, even in a close series like this, I mean, the Thunder thought they were going to rattle off a couple, and now they got this opponent in the West that they're going to have to deal with who wasn't even really supposed to be at this level yet, and it's clearly at this level. Even if they lose this game, they went to Game 7 in the finals against the reigning champs. That's a win for them. So there's a lot of implications on the line, truthfully, tonight. The Spurs are pretty much set. They can make some moves this offseason, maybe get rid of Fox, maybe bring in another big. I'm not really sure exactly what their moves will be. I trust that organization that they'll make the right moves to revolve around Wemby. The Thunder, though, they have a lot of options, whether it's trade up in the draft, whether it's trade for a bigger name. A lot of things can happen tonight based on this is a very big sliding door moment in the league, I believe. And the Knicks are waiting. The Knicks are healthy enough. I mean, Mitch Robinson will play. He broke his pinky or something. He should be fine. The Knicks are going to come off a lot of rest. They're going to come off a lot of momentum. I think no matter what, they lose Game 1 just because of that rest. I do think that does matter, especially against younger teams like this who don't need a ton of rest. But yeah, that's an exciting series, and I'm excited to see who makes it to the finals. I'm hoping for Spurs-Knicks just because that's just beautiful. I mean, as a sports fan, that's what you want to see. You want to see a historic franchise who hasn't had it in a long time against another historic franchise with a new up-and-comer who could do things early on in his career that not many other greats have done. So, yeah, a lot of exciting things. Let's move on to hockey. Again, I know not everyone watches it, but let me fill you in on what's going on in the NHL playoffs this year. As a fan of the Oilers, it's not my favorite playoffs, but as just a fan of the sport, there are two clearly dominant teams right now. The Vegas Knights, I did not expect to be one of those dominant teams, especially, barely beating the Mammoth, kind of struggling with the Ducks, but then going into Colorado and just sweeping them. I know Makar was out for a couple games. I know McKinnon was a little banged up, but the Avs were the best team all year, and the President Curse strikes again. Strikes again. How has no one since, 2013 Blackhawks? 2014 or whatever? Have they won a President's Trophy and the Cup in the same year? It's a weird thing. But the Avs getting swept, not what I expected to happen. I mean, they complained, we didn't have our depth. Our big stars were hurt. You had depth all year. You were the deepest team. Everyone knew it. Your goaltending just struggled, and Vegas just locked down defensively. And unfortunately, Carter Hart is playing out of his mind right now. I don't like Vegas as much as a lot of other fans because they just have never had any bad things happen in their franchise so far. But you have to give it to them. They do everything it takes to win. Anyone could have made the moves they made. They could have hired Torts. They could have brought in Carter Hart. Vegas did it. And not many other teams will even think about doing stuff like that. So I'll hand it to them. I mean, they do everything in their power it takes to win. If the Oilers had management like the Knights, we'd probably have 3 or 4 cups right now. But we don't. We don't have good management. And management, front office work does play a bigger part than you see. Because you don't see it. It's all behind the scenes, but it really, really matters. And everyone says about that Vegas organization that it is from top to bottom one of the most well-run organizations in the league. So hate them all you want, but you kind of have to respect them. And I'm the last one that wants to say that, but you have to respect them. That being said, I don't think they're winning the Cup this year because Carolina is on an all-time heater. They've lost one game in the playoffs, and that one game was when they had like a week and a half long break, and just had to play a Habs team that was coming in hot. That's the one loss they had. Other than that, they've shut down teams. I mean, the Canadiens came in with that magic that you see in playoffs a lot of the time, where they're just going to go on a run and they're going to beat everybody. And I kind of thought the Habs might be able to do that. The Canadiens were going to come in and make it a good series at least. And the Canes said, nope, it's finally our time to get over the hump. And they look very good. It should honestly be a really, really good series just on paper. I don't love either of those teams, but I will be watching because it should be a great matchup. Defensively, I mean, both teams are really good. Goaltending, really good. Coaching, really good. It should be a very, very good matchup from two of the top teams of, the last 5+ years. These two have been top of the league. Vegas obviously has one cup. Carolina hasn't had one since 2006, but they've been very close so many years, and they've truly been one of the best teams in the league since then. Poor Brent Burns leaving Carolina to go to Colorado to think he was going to win a cup just for Carolina to make it now that he left and Colorado to get swept. Brent Burns might be cursed. So that should be a very good series, and whatever happens in the finals, even if the Thunder do make it, that should be a good series too. So we have two good finals, honestly, to look forward to in the next couple weeks. And moving on from that, let's go to some movies that I watched this week. So I'm not a big horror fan. It is not my favorite genre of movie. I get scared very easily, and I don't like being scared. Jump scares, the way my heart moves, don't enjoy it at all. I love roller coasters. I love bungee jumping. Well, I've never done bungee jumping, but it's like that type of thrill I like, but that same feeling of fear instead of excitement, I hate. That being said, I watched Obsession and I watched Backrooms. One was really, really, really good. One felt like it could have been really good and was not as good as I hoped it would be. Obsession, I get why people are talking about it. It is a great, great movie. Not even just a horror movie. It's a great story. It makes you uncomfortable. The actress in that, some of her face acting is some of the best I've ever seen. The screams that she had were one of the most real sounding, scary screams I have ever heard. That one scene where he says he's going to have a boys' night and you just hear her shriek. It's terrifying. It's like it was scary and funny. And like there was times that you weren't even thinking that it was that scary, and yet it was. Very hard to explain, but very, very good movie. Really enjoyed it. There were some times I was covering up my eyes, I'll be honest. But I do think watching it a second time, which I will do, would make it a lot better because I know what to be prepared for. But the story itself was very, very good, and I understand the success it is having. And Curry Barker, this TikTok guy who's now a director and has another movie coming up, I'm hoping that this guy is one of the new great directors that we have, because this first one was a smashing success. Now moving on to Backrooms. Interesting movie. It started off with a lot of potential. It was very eerie. It was creepy in a way. The story was kind of building up, and then it just lost me because it's a weird one to explain. It's like I enjoyed a lot of it, but yet I was kind of bored through a lot of it. I wasn't really scared, but yet I was kind of scared. It was just an eerie feeling of like, what's happening? And then things started to pick up and you're like, whoa, okay, what is this? What am I about to, how's this about to end? What's coming from this? And I just feel like it fell flat from what I wanted it to be. It completely took me out of as someone that gets scared really easily, I was pretty much taken out of the horror part of it, and it kind of felt corny and cheesy, the choice they made. If you've seen it, you know. Spoiler alerts ahead, so I guess if you don't want to listen to what I'm about to say, fast forward like 2 minutes. Why the I get what the Backroom, I kind of get what Backrooms is, if like it's every life possible, but why was that monstrous villain, this creepy person that we're all waiting to see who this is, was the corniest looking fake pirate I've ever seen. Like I get how they got to the pirate, but it just felt wrong. It just felt like he was executed poorly. The pirate looked real weird. It just felt like the climax of the film ended up being very corny and took everyone out of the eeriness and kind of uncomfortableness and like what's about to happen into like, oh, this is kind of childish. Not, maybe childish is the wrong word. It was just corny. I just thought it was very corny, and it felt like they left a lot on the table of what it could be. It seems like they'll make another one. I mean, I don't even really know where they go with it. I guess they could do a lot. Yeah. It felt like it could have been so much better than it was, and yet it was still okay. I believe I gave that one a 2.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd, and I gave Obsession a 4 out of 5, which for horror movies is very good for me. So I will be watching Obsession again. I probably won't be back watching Backrooms again. I just don't really care to see it. I feel like I got all I needed to in one watch, and it does seem like it's doing pretty successful at the box office. Even with Star Wars out, the fact that 2 horror movies are doing very well at the box office is good for theaters and good for movies and good for small directors who they're giving all this money for, and a guy that did TikTok and a guy that did YouTube who are now directing horror movies that are smashing successes, whether you like them or not. Box office wise, they're doing very, very well, and I believe that is very good for the industry. I think there's going to be a lot of new directors that come out of this, and hopefully we get some stars that we usually wouldn't see get the opportunity to show their work on the big screen. Hopefully they are now giving the budget and the opportunity to show their original ideas, because we do need more of that. So that part I did enjoy. I also saw the movie Pressure, the movie about D-Day, Brendan Fraser as Eisenhower. I'm not the biggest war movie fan, but this one was really, really good and told me the story of D-Day, which I knew what it was, but I didn't really know what it was. And it focused on the meteorologist of it, which was a very, very important factor in the approach they took in this war. And I really, really enjoyed it. The acting was good. The suspense was good. It felt like it from the beginning to the end, it was just kind of going, going, going. And even though they were focusing on the weather, it just kept me captivated and was like, whoa, this is way more important than I ever would have imagined it being. And that's one of the most important days in our history, in American history. And so it was really cool to learn about that. The movie itself was really good. I like seeing Brendan Fraser do things and given the opportunity to be in different roles. And so that I really, really did enjoy. Music this week, there wasn't a ton of new music. I mean, Lotto, I guess, dropped something. I think the Drake albums are still carrying a lot. Black, or as I call him, 6 Lack, I think as a lot of people do. His album, which dropped the same time as Drake, not the best idea. But that album is very, very good. I would recommend listening to that one. And also just a random throw-in I'm going to do, because I don't think enough people listen to this, even though The Weeknd is one of the most popular artists in the world. Dawn FM is a very, very underrated album of his. It's a very 80s sounding album that honestly feels like it should have been a lot bigger than it was. Less Than Zero, not sure how that's not one of his biggest hits, because that's just, it screams a radio banger. And yet he had other ones that were bigger that I don't feel as good, like Heartless. I feel like Less Than Zero is better than Heartless, and yet Heartless is one of his top stream songs. So if you like The Weeknd, if you like 80s style kind of pop, and it shows like a old radio station with Jim Carrey as kind of the voice of it, I think it's a good project, and if you like that kind of music, I would recommend checking that out. We are looking forward to Game 7 tonight. Again, this is episode 2 of The Rough Cut. We'll have more every week. I'm doing my best here. I'm plan and promise to get better every week, and I am looking forward to Game 7 and to talk about the finals next week. Alrighty, see you on the flippity flip.